Howdy everybody, it's Miss Kosh. I wanted to work through a couple of these transformation problems for you. So I have 3 here that I'd like to do, and then here is the worksheet. So I intend to work through the rest of these and post my answer key for you. But let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing is they want us to identify what the parent function is. So this I know to be a rational function, and the parent function is y equals 1 over x, or f of x equals 1 over x. And what that does for me is it stays in quadrants 1 and 3, and it goes through, this would be the point 1, 1, and that one right there is the point -1, -1. And I know that I have an asymptote here at x equals 0 and an asymptote here at y equals 0. So I expect that you've seen this in Algebra 2, and we are also going to spend more time on it in the future, but let's hopefully you're up to speed on that. So here's what I notice on this particular graph. It looks like it's approaching this asymptote, and this is the equation x equals -1. And it looks to me, and I have to kind of come out to the ends, and it looks to me like it's approaching this asymptote, and that is the equation y equals, what is that, -3? So my graph has been reflected. Notice it's no longer in quadrants 1 and 3 like the parent function, over here, but it's now in quadrants 2 and 4, and then I got shifted. So it's in our new axes, it's in quadrants 2 and 4. So it got reflected. So the transformations, it was reflected, and actually this one, you can say it's reflected over the x-axis or reflected over the y-axis. So it's reflected over the x-axis, because notice, if this gets reflected over the x-axis, it's now down here. If this gets reflected over the y-axis, it's now over here. Well, okay, this would go here, and this would go here, depending on, I hope that didn't confuse you. Basically, this particular parent function, what's happening here is if I have y is equal to a -1 over x, that would be the same thing as, -1 over x, which is the same thing as 1 over -x. Okay, so all of those, you can put that negative sign wherever you want it, and so those reflections they give you the same graph, whichever way you reflect it. So it was reflected, and then it was shifted. It had an asymptote of x equals 0, so it was shifted. It went left 1, and then it went down 3. Okay, so now let's write the equation. So what I have here is I know, let's see, I have, actually, let's use f of x. F of x is equal to, let's put an a just in case it's had a scale change. I'm not sure, I don't remember if I gave it one or not. But in order for it to shift left 1, I have to say x plus 1 down here, and then it's down 3 minus 3. So now what I want to verify, and I didn't take the reflection into consideration, but the reflection we'll figure that out when at this next step. So here we go. And that is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in a different point. Let's say, we'll plug in a point. Let's do f of, let's see if I do 0. Is that a good choice? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so we're about to find out. F of 0 would be equal to a over 0 plus 1 minus 3. Well, f of 0 right here is the point 0, -5. And so that's going to be equal to -5. So I have a over 1 is just a. So a minus 3 is equal to -5. And then I add, I think we're good. Okay. I add 3 to both sides, and I get a is equal to -2. We knew that it had a reflection, but it also had a stretch, and we didn't know that. Okay, we didn't catch that before. So we need to also say back here, there was a stretch of 2. A vertical stretch of 2. So our final answer here is that f of x is equal to -2 over x plus 1 minus 3. And that is our best answer for part C of that particular problem. All of that goes for this first problem. Okay, let's keep going. Let's do this next one. On the next one, what I notice is that this is an absolute value. And then in the absolute value, we would have a slope of 1 on one side and a slope of -1 on the other side. And it's doing something like that. This one has gotten, it looks like it's gotten a either a horizontal, am I saying the right thing? Either a vertical compression or a horizontal stretch. So let's say a vertical compression, and we'll come back and figure out what that value is, just like we found that A a second ago. And then it's been shifted. There was no reflection over anything. It was shifted left 3 and down 5. So what I'm going to say is that f of x is equal to a times the absolute value of x plus 3 minus 5. Okay, so now to find my final answer, I'm going to do f of, well, let's not use the vertex, let's use another point. Let's do f of -1, which is a times the absolute, I was about to do parentheses, -1 plus 3 minus 5. And that was equal to, at -1, what was my point? My point was equal to -4. And so I have a times the absolute value of 2 minus 5 equals -4. Add 5, and puts me at 1. And the absolute value of a positive 2 is still a positive 2. So it's 2a is equal to 1. So a is equal to 1/2. And notice my slope, I went up 1 and over 2. I do have a slope of 1/2. My rise was 1, my run was 2. Which maybe you figured out from the graph, but if you didn't, this a value will always help you. So your final answer for part C is that f of x is equal to 1/2 times the absolute value of x plus 3 minus 5. Okay, one more. And this, I put my name on everything, so I get the credit and the blame. Credit if I do it right, blame if I do it wrong. Okay, so this, the parent function is, you know what, I'm going to change up my colors. My parent function is, I got really creative here, x squared, which would look something like this. So I see that there's a reflection over the x-axis. I see that it went to the right 5, up 2, and it's probably a stretch, like a vertical stretch. But we're going to let a come out in a second. Okay, so what I have here is that my f of x is equal to a times x minus 5. That's how I'm going to move it right, squared. That's the parent function. And then I want it to go up 2. Okay, so that's the basic idea, but I haven't taken the reflection and the vertical stretch into consideration. So now let's say f of 6. I'll use this point right here. F of 6 would equal a times 6 minus 5 squared plus 2, and that had better equal -1. So I have 6 minus 5 is 1, squared is 1, so this is a plus 2 is equal to -1. Subtract 2, a is equal to -3. So now let's see, our final answer becomes f of x is equal to -3 times x minus 5 squared plus 2. And that was the answer to part C. Okay, I'm going to try and get this answer key done for you at some point. In the meantime, keep practicing. Good luck.